Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This one should be a short one from the previous two, and um, in this video we'll be going through concatenation for strings, meaning how we could join strings together. In the last video we went over data types like strings, and we'll be going over this one specifically in this video, and integers, floats, and booleans. So these were the four main data types we covered last episode, and we showed how Python identifies these data types and how we can convert, let's say, a integer into a string, or a integer into a float. So yeah, again, we are going over strings. In the last episode I did go over concatenation, but the basics of concatenation. So let me refresh you on that. So let's say if you wanted to print hey and just a name, so hey Bilal, my name being Bilal, so we just say hey Bilal, we run this and we get hey Bilal. Well, let's say if you want to store this name in a variable rather than hard coding it in here, because if, let's say if we have a really big script like 1,000, 2,000 line script, we don't really want to look for a print, we want to change the variable. So we can declare variable name, and we can give it a string value of Bilal. Obviously it can be double quotes, single quotes, but it can't be double and single quotes unless you have it, if the outer layer is a double quote, if you know what I mean. You'll understand this from the last episode, a video I mean. So now we've declared a variable called name. Obviously we can't just put name right in there, otherwise what would happen is it won't throw an error, it'll literally throw out the word name. So what we have to do here is we have to make a string hey, then make the plus, and then put the variable in here, and the plus again, and then the exclamation mark. So we run this, we'll play this just for you. We run this and we get hey Bilal. Although this looks a bit weird, we can fix this by adding a space after the hey, because you can see it's lacking a space. So we just add a space and then it works. But sometimes you don't want to do this because it can lead to a lot of errors where the programmer forgets to add a space. So what could you do instead is add a comma, and that comma basically just adds a space for you before you run this, and it comes out as hey Bilal. And we can put another variable in, being like the date. So the date being right now 16/06 and 2020, and then we can do the comma and then write the date is, and then comma again, date, and you run this and there you are. Hey Bilal, the date is, capitalize this, the date is 16/06/2020, and that's basically the basics of concatenation. But you could also a problem with this is now this is getting messy, that we have a open close string here, open close string here, open close string here, and a variable and variable. And for a programmer this looks a bit messy, and it might and if you pass off this to a different programmer and it's like way longer, it could take up a lot of time just to read it. So we can do it in a different way. So let's just put this back to here. So let's just do this. So instead of you doing these common names, we can do something called dot format, and then we add something here. But before we add something here, we make a string. So hey below, the date is 16/06/2020, and obviously we don't want these just to be written in a string. So how dot format realizes what variable we want to pass in is we get rid of the string that wants to be replaced by a variable. We we start off with an open and close curly bracket, and then we'll do the same here, open close curly bracket, and then what we can do is add the variable name here and then date here. So what's Python is doing now is looking at hey, and then he sees this curly bracket. So it looks at this dot format, and then it looks at name, and then it substitutes name into this curly bracket, which is this value here, and then it carries on with the string, and then it looks at this curly bracket, and then since it's already substituting name, it looks at the next variable, which is date, and then it substitutes date in here. So let's run this, and there you are. It shows you that, and this looks way more neater than our previous example of just putting on all the um, you know, variable and string together. But sometimes the previous example is good if you're wanting to concatenate or join small text, like a small string with a small variable. But for large strings, you really want to try to stick with this dot format. But there is an even better way of doing this, and this better way, you need the version of Python 3, I think 3.4 and above. This is Python 3.7, so you can check by writing Python. I think it's actually Python dash V. Nope. Let's try Python again. Well, you could get the newest version from here, but I'm pretty sure I'm reading 3.7. So the better alternative of using dot format is using an F string, and what F string is pretty simple. You get rid of the dot format and you just put F before the opening quote, and you realize you have to make sure this isn't in the string, it has to be before the string. And what F stands for is format, and then what you just do is put your names inside these curly brackets, and that looks way better than having a following dot format. This is pretty much the easiest, fastest and cleanest way of concatenating a string in Python, that is. So let's run this, and there you are. It outputs the string. And also, with what's better than why the dot format this method is better than the other two is because you don't have to worry about spacing, because you create your own spacing, like how you write out normally. So that's what's great about format strings. So I'm gonna give you a quiz, right? Let me just quickly write this. Alright, welcome back. Welcome back. I've created a question that you could try to code out. This question has some aspects of this lesson with the concatenation, and some of the aspects of the last lessons of making correct variables and making actual getting input from users. So I'll explain what you must do. So your first step is to create an input getting the user's name. So create a variable and that variable stores a username. Do the same thing for the birth date, and remember the birth date will be stored as a string rather than an integer, since birthdays have these forward dashes. And then once you've done these two, using them two variables, output those values um, in this format string. You can tweak it if you want, but if you can do this, it's really great. I'll give you 5 seconds to answer that. Make sure if you want to pause the video and answer it, that is also good too. So I'll give you 5 seconds. Alright, hopefully you've managed to get this correct. If not, no worries. Um, you might need to brush up on the last few videos, but since this is a new concept, it's not that big of an issue if you got this wrong. At least if you understand the concept, that's what matters. So let's first create an input getting the user's name. I'm gonna call this variable name. You may have called it something different. If you call it something different, it's completely fine. It just has to relate to the output, because uh, for programmers, the variables don't need to have to be the same names. It can be whatever they want it to be. It could be n, but n isn't a real good name, or it could be full name or whatever. I'm just gonna call it name. So how we get input from users is simply just write input and then just asking the user a question. So what is your name, and then just doing that, and then creating a input getting users birthday. I'm going to copy this and then just write birth date. So what is your birthday? So when we run this program, the first two things gonna happen is ask you for your name and your date. Let's just test this if this works. So below, and then 31 10 204. Oh, I've wrote that completely wrong. 31 10 and so nothing's going to be output because we haven't told Python to output anything, but we'll do this in the first step. So we print. So let's try the first method of just using the plus and comma uh, way. So we just do name, comma, birth. Wait, hold, yeah. So we actually do plus s. So basically this is going to be below, and then it's going to add a apostrophe s. Since this apostrophe is valid, since there's two double quotes around it. And then we do birthday is on, and then we do a comma, and then we can just do date. We run this. We do. Let's try a different. We do Joe. Do name Joe, and then we do his birthday is gonna be on the 14th, 24th, 12th of 201. So it's outputting what we wanted to output, but this does look messy because this is just making it look really messy, and then the plus with the comma is just not really good to look at. So let's just do the second method. So we just do make a string, we can add a dot format now, but we won't add the variables yet because we don't know which ways the variables will go. So we know we want the name first, so we do the open close curly bracket because we know we want to put in the name. We add a apostrophe s, and then we do first day is on, and then we want the date. So now we know which order they're gonna go. We're gonna do name and then date. We're gonna clear this, and then we're gonna do Joe again. 24, I think it was 12 and 201. And yeah, again, same output, but it's way more cleaner, nicer to look at, and more faster to read. The last way of doing it is, in my opinion, the cleanest and best way to do it. Is just add an F string at the start, and then just plug in the variables you want. Clear, run, and we do Joe again. We do 24, 12, and 201, and there you are. Well, that's string concatenation. It's pretty simple. That's why this was a shorter video. But if you are finding any trouble, make sure to um, comment down in the description if you need more help. And also, if you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe because it'll help me out too. Um, so look out for the next episode.